at the end of the day, God used all different types of people to use people, to talk to people, and to teach people. We all supposed to teach one. And that condemn one or make one feel uncomfortable about.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 15. Linda, you said a whole lot, and it sounded good, but guess what? If it's not going according to this Bible, it's a lie. Right. You're just trying to make yourself feel good. You want to make excuses for the things that you do. Right. God said, learn not the ways of the heathen. Watch this.
Says do not.
Do not what?
He also teaches, like, he said our footprints are for him to guide. You're not supposed to force nobody. No, make nobody.
Sis, I'm not forcing you to do anything. What I'm doing is reading God's laws. Now it's up to you to listen and do what God commands of you. Because Christian, I want to say something because you look like you're getting ready to break out. All right? Christian, what does Christian mean? You know what Christian means? Christian means anointed one. All right?
Anointed one.
Yes, it means you're blessed. The Most High blessed you to know that you're an Israelite of the tribe of Ephraim, okay? But what? Now, like many of us, we're in the customs of the world. The customs of what? Celebrating birthdays, right? So give me 1 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6, all right? To give you an idea of where birthdays come from, all right? Because this is not a custom that we should be celebrating. Right. If you love your mother, hold that, give me Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. If you love your mother, you won't be celebrating birthdays. Right. If you love your mother, you will teach her that birthdays are a pagan custom, meaning it's a heathen custom. It is not a custom of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12.
Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. And now Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee?
Martina, what's your name, sis? I know you come here all the time. Huh? Linda and Christian. What does the Lord thy God require of thee? Meaning, what does he command of you? Like your parents, what do they want from you? Right? Read.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
To what?
To fear the Lord thy God.
To fear God, not your mother, because you said my mother's going to kill me if I don't celebrate the birthday, right? Right. Watch this, read.
To walk in all his ways.
To what?
To walk in all his ways.
To walk in all of God's ways. One of God's ways is what? The Sabbath. Today is the Sabbath. There's no buying or selling on the Sabbath. All right? There's no cooking on the Sabbath.
Right.
These are the things that we must honor and celebrate. Not birthdays. Read.
And to love him and to serve the Lord thy God.
To what?
To serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
With all your mind. With all your mind and your spirit. You got to put forth what? To worship him. Not worship your mother. Because what are you doing when you're celebrating birthdays? You honoring your mother. You idolizing your mother. Exactly, brother. So you can't do that. Now go to, that was it? Yeah, read.
Verse 13. To keep the commandments of the Lord.
To what?
To keep the commandments of the Lord.
Christian, what must you do today?
Keep the commandments of the Lord.
That's right. Read.
And his statutes which I command thee this day for thy good.
Which I command thee, meaning I order you for what? For your good. For your good, Martina. This is why we bring this out. So that you can learn and stop following traditions that does not benefit us. You understand? Do you understand, Martina? Christian, you understand? Linda, you understand? All right. Watch this, Christian. Read.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts.
It was unlawful for the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, to keep the Sabbath. Why? Because they don't want us honoring God. What do they want us to honor? Pagan customs, them. They want us to buy and sell on the Sabbath. So they made it unlawful. The Greeks who created or took birthdays from the Egyptians, right? They want us not to celebrate God's law. So they made it a law that if they caught us honoring God on the Sabbath, watch this, read.
Or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
You couldn't what? Read it again.
Neither Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
You couldn't say you're an Israelite. You understand, Martina? It was unlawful for you to declare your nationality. So what names did they give us? Black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Jamaican, anything but what God called us, which is the Israelites. It was unlawful. This is the Holy Bible telling us. So we have to open our eyes to the truth. All right? Christian, don't walk away, Christian. I'm not done. God is dealing with you. Do not go anywhere. Read.
Verse 7. And in the day of the king's birth, every month.
The day of what?
The king's birth.
The who?
The king's birth.
The day of the king's birth. What is that? His birthday. You understand? Because what? The Greeks, they would celebrate their birthdays for 30 days. 30 days celebrating our birthdays. Now us, what do we do following that wicked tradition? We celebrate the whole weekend, we party, we get dressed, we get balloons, cakes, candles, and we celebrate our birthdays. We got that from the Greeks. We didn't do this. Making wishes, blowing out candles. Read.
And in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought by bitter constraint.
They were what?
They were brought by bitter constraints.
Meaning they were forced to celebrate the king's birthday. But now we do it of our own will. Why? Because we've learned to follow the traditions of the heathen, the pagan customs. Read.
To eat of the sacrifices.
To what?
To eat of the sacrifices.
To eat what was sacrificed to their gods. We were taught to eat. So now what does that mean? Now we celebrate birthdays by cooking pernil, right? Pork, swine, all these things. Christian, remember what you learned. Don't be afraid. Keep the commandments. Read.
And when the feast of Bacchus was kept.
The what?
The feast of Bacchus was kept.
The feast of Bacchus. Bacchus was a Greek god, the god of wine and revelry. Meaning what? Drunkenness, partying, orgies. That's what we were celebrating. That's what we were forced to celebrate. So now what do we do on our birthdays? We get drunk, we get high, we party, we look for a woman, we look for a man to have sex and celebrate. Celebrate. That's what we're doing. That's what we learned from the Greeks, the pagans. You understand, Linda? You understand, Martina? This is why we have to bring this out, because we were never taught this in the churches. Christian was never taught this. We were never taught this. So now we have to learn. He gives the thumbs up, but he's not stopping to listen. Read.
The Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen.
There went out a decree. A decree means an order, a law. What was that law? Let's read.
By the suggestion of Ptolemy.
By the suggestion of Ptolemy, who was the Greek king, the Greek ruler at that time. Read.
Against the Jews.
Against who?
Against the Jews.
Against the Jews, the Israelites. The Israelites, us. Us. Were you ever taught that, Martina, that you're a Jew? That you're an Israelite? You were never taught that in the churches. You were taught what? That you're Puerto Rican, right? Dominican. All right? Black, Jamaican, all these names. Exactly. Witchcraft. That's witchcraft. Brujeria is witchcraft. Very good, sister. Why? Because we learned that from the other nations. Read.
That they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
You see that? Read it again from the decree.
Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews.
Against the Jews. So he put out a law to all the other neighboring countries against the Jews that what? Read.
That they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
That they should observe the same fashions. Why? Because the Israelites, they did not observe the same fashions. We had to be forced to observe the same fashions. Our women didn't wear pants. Our men didn't shave their beards.
Right.
Our people did not celebrate birthdays. We didn't celebrate Christmas. We didn't celebrate New Year's. We were forced to do these things until what? It became normal for us to do it. We took it like it was our traditions, but it's not. Read.
And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
If you didn't celebrate birthdays, what would happen?
Should be put to death.
If you didn't celebrate Christmas, New Year's, what would happen?
Should be put to death.
You should be put to death. So what happened? That fear was put upon you.
Right.
And now you had to celebrate birthdays, New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Just like now, we're not put to death for not celebrating it. But what? You get ostracized from your family.
Right.
You get set apart from your friends. He's a weirdo. He's different. He changed.
Right.
Of course we change. The Most High God requires change from all of us. So, go ahead, Martina.
It would nice if you said in English and you in Spanish. There's a lot of Spanish people here.
You want us to read it in Spanish?
I think it would be nice because there's a lot of Spanish people. It's
Absolutely.
English and then you in Spanish.
We do both, sister. We do both. Don't worry about it.
That's about you.
But did you understand what we're bringing out? Because you speak English. Linda speaks English.
Right.
Very good. If the Lord deems it that we have to bring it out in Spanish, we're going to bring it out in Spanish. But now we're bringing it out in English. All right? Yo te hablo en español si tú quieres, pero tú entiendes inglés. ¿Entiendes, hermana? Okay. But everybody here, the majority of everyone around here, they speak English now. This is a Spanish-speaking community, but for the most part, people speak English, so we're going to continue to bring it out. All right? Was there more? Go ahead.
Then might a man have seen the present miseries.
Then might a man have seen the present meaning, misery, meaning what you see now. What do you see now? You got an Ephraimite, a so-called Puerto Rican, going to celebrate his mother's birthday. It looks innocent, it looks nice, but no, God says don't do that.
Right.
We were forced to do that. You understand? Give me Job chapter 1 and verse 4. Watch this, Martina. Watch this, Linda. Because the Bible tells you the truth. The Bible frees you from the lies. Read.
The book of Job, chapter 1, verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses.
His sons, this is Job, right? His sons went and feasted, meaning they had a celebration. Read.
Everyone his day.
Everyone what?
His day.
His day. What is his day, Martina? His birthday, right? Linda, birthday. So they went and they had a feast. Like we do, or like we used to do. Maybe you guys do it. You have a feast on your birthday. Read.
And sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them.
And they invited their sisters, their family members, to come and eat and drink with them. Read.
And it was so, when the days of their feastings were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all.
Read it again nice and slow and read it loud.
And it was so, when the days of their feastings were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them.
So Job, he saw that they were celebrating their birthdays. Now Job was a man of the Lord. He kept the commandments. But what? Just like today, we have children that we try to raise up in the truth, in the commandments, but what? They follow the customs of the people around them.
Right.
So Job's children were celebrating their birthdays because they saw their friends doing it from the other nations. You understand? They learned that from the other nations. Read.
And rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts.
So Job sanctified and gave up sacrifices for their sons because he said it may be that they have sinned. How did they sin? By celebrating their birthdays. So Job knew that and he sanctified, he asked God for what? Forgiveness of sins for their children. But what? When you learn, he lost those sons. You know what I said? He lost those sons. Why? Because they were keeping wicked customs, wicked traditions like birthdays. All right? Now watch this. What is Christmas about? Sis, since you just walked up, what is Christmas about?
Not God.
Huh?
Not God.
It's not God?
No.
What is Christmas about? What did you learn Christmas is about? The celebration of what?
The birth of Christ. The birth of Christ, but that's not his birthday.
The birth of Christ. So when is Christ's birthday?
Nobody knows, you know?
Nobody knows?
And I'm also
Watch this. We're gonna learn according to the scriptures. Give me that in Luke. All right? Because nowhere in the Bible do you read that Jesus Christ celebrated his birthday.
No, you don't.
He don't. So why do we do it? Or why? Huh?
I never seen that. It's not about business, and it's about, I think it's, like I was saying,
Can you take your mask off so I can understand you?
what I'm getting from it is that it's a February holiday.
So what?
To me, it's a, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly because of my lips, a February holiday. Yes, it is.
Pagan holiday.
Pagan holiday.
It's because the simple fact is that they got us celebrating Santa Claus. Santa Claus has nothing to do with the birth of Christ.
Right.
Then they have us putting up trees. That doesn't have nothing to do with the birth of Christ. Then we passing out gifts to each other. That has nothing to do with the birth of Christ.
So do you do it?
No.
Did you do it? You never did it?
I used to.
You used to?
I used to.
So how did you learn that you're not supposed to? All right, so I'm asking you, where do you find that in the Bible?
No.
Because she may not know. Martina, do you know where that's at in the Bible? All right, so sis, what's your name?
Arashua.
Arashua. Huh?
Yes.
Okay, where do you find that in the Bible that Christmas is not of God?
Well, I found it, and I don't know chapter.
Jeremiah chapter 10. We're going to read it for you, all right? For the edification of everyone.
Right.
Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 10.
Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 2. Thus saith the Lord.
Read from 1.
Verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
So God is talking to the house of Israel. Every time you read the Bible, God is only talking to the house of Israel. He's not talking to everyone. He did not give this Bible to everyone.
Right.
Watch this. Read.
Thus saith the Lord. Learn not the way of the heathen.
What did God say?
Learn not the way of the heathen.
Learn not the way of the heathen. Well, who are the heathen? The other nations. The word heathen means nations.
Right.
Learn not the way of the nations. That's what the Bible says. That's not my words. He's reading from the Holy Bible. The same Bible that we profess to believe in and keep. Read.
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, meaning don't worship the sun, the moon, the stars.
Right.
Read.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
The heathen, the other nations do that. You understand? Read.
For the customs of the people are vain.
The customs of the other nations are vain, meaning lies. Lies. Read.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
One does what?
Cutteth a tree out of the forest.
What is that, Martina, when you cut a tree? What are you doing?
Killing it.
Huh?
Killing it.
But what custom is that part of? Christmas, right? You cut a tree, you decorate it, and you put it in your house, you put presents underneath. This is the Bible telling you, don't do that. Follow not the ways of the heathen.
Right.
Read.
The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
With the axe, you gotta chop that tree with an axe. Read.
They deck it with silver and with gold.
They deck it with silver and gold. They decorate it with silver and gold. You understand? That's Christmas. We're reading about Christmas. All right? The custom, the tradition, the holiday of Christmas in the Bible. Read.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree.
It's a Babylonian custom. Christmas started from the Babylonians. They used the palm tree. That's why he's talking about the palm tree. But here in America, what tree do they use? The evergreen tree. They cut it, they decorate it, they fasten it with nails and hammers so that it stands up straight and it moves not. Because if you cut a tree, the tree is dead. Right? So what do you have to do to keep it upright in your house? You have to put a stand, right? So that's the custom that we're reading about. Read.
They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born.
They must need be born, meaning carried into your house. Carried into your house. Read.
Because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good.
There's no good and there's no evil in the tree. So don't be afraid of them. Why? Because our people, they were afraid. They thought they had to do that thing because they saw the other nations doing it. But now we do it of our own free will. We think it's a tradition that we must follow because we see everyone else doing it. But why? That's why God said, read verse 1 again. Listen up. Orajua, listen up, Martina and Linda. God is talking to you. Read.
Verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
So God said, hear ye the word which the Lord thy God is speaking to you, O house of Israel.
Right.
He's talking to the house of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? Orajua, you said you don't celebrate Christmas. You celebrate birthdays? Not really. Not really, Lisa. Maybe you do. Right?
I celebrate for my grandkids. I'm a grandmother of 6.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. All right? So you're putting your grandkids over God's orders, over God's law. You understand? Give me the book of Luke, chapter 2, where we were going to go.
Because also when Abraham had to go to the Israelites and take all your silver and gold so that they could go over with the people and free the people. So at the end of the day, God used all different types of people to use people to talk to people and to teach people. We all supposed to teach one, not condemn one or make one feel uncomfortable about.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 15. Linda, you said a whole lot, and it sounded good, but guess what? If it's not going according to this Bible, it's a lie. You're just trying to make yourself feel good. You want to make excuses for the things that you do. But God said, learn not the ways of the heathen.
And God
Watch this.
says do not.
Do not what?
He also teaches, like, he said our footprints are for him to guide. You're not supposed to force nobody, make nobody.
Sis, I'm not forcing you to do anything. What I'm doing is reading God's laws. Now it's up to you to listen and do what God commands of you. Because if you don't, then you're cursing yourself. Watch this, read. You see, our people refuse to hear the word of God. I'm not telling her what to do. I'm reading what God said to do. You understand? So now it's up to us to change. It's up to us to repent of our wicked ways. Birthdays, holidays, fake holidays like Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. All right? Women in pants. Watch this. Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God.
The natural man, what? Meaning the one that's in the world, not in the Spirit of God. Read.
For they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual.
But what?
But he that is spiritual.
He that is spiritual, meaning what? Keeping God's commandments. That's why we authorized to come out here and speak to our people the way we do. Because we are the spiritual men of the Most High. Ordained to speak the words that are coming out of this Bible. We're not going to force Orajua to keep God's commandments. We're not going to order her, but what we're going to do is tell her the truth according to the Bible. And what is that? That's called love. Love for your neighbor. That's how you show love to your people. By speaking to them the words of God. All right? Now it's up to her. Now if she don't keep God's laws, what's going to happen to her? She will be judged. Not by us, but by what? The one true God. The God of Israel.
That's right.
Read.
But he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who hath known the mind of the Lord?
Read that again, verse 15.
But he that is spiritual judges all things.
We judge. We judge. You ever been to a courthouse, Martina? You ever been to a courthouse, Linda?
A lot of time with my son.
Exactly. Do you tell the judge, you can't judge my son. You can't force me tell me what to do. You can't, right? Exactly. You can't tell us. Why? Because we're bringing God's laws. Without God's laws, there's no order. You understand? So what are we doing when we bring out the law? We're establishing order. God's order. Go ahead, sis.
Most people, they curse most landlords that are Jewish.
Most what?
Landlords.
Landlords?
Yeah. That are Jewish.
Jewish.
And I tell people, when you curse a Jewish person, you are cursing God, right?
Okay. So now I'm going to ask you, who are those people that call themselves Jewish?
Most of the landlords that have the thing there, they call themselves Jewish.
But those, Martina, are not the real Jews.
Right.
You understand? You're the real Jew.
Right.
They have taken your identity. They stole your identity. You understand, sis? They took your identity from you and said what? You are now Dominican.
Right.
You are now Puerto Rican, African American, Jamaican, Mexican. You understand, sis?
So racist.
Huh?
It's so racist, prejudice.
Exactly. You know why? Because you're going to see why. Watch this. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9.
But when you curse a Jewish person, you are cursing God?
No.
Let's say an Israel person, no?
When you do harm against us, yes, there's a judgment for that, for doing wrong to God's people. But guess what? Hold on. But guess what? When you curse God's people, you understand there's a judgment for that. But the reason why we're in the condition that we're in under the curses is because we continue to break God's laws.
I don't wish somebody better.
You understand? Watch this, because you asked about the Jewish people. Look what the Bible says about the Jewish people. Read.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation.
God knows our works and tribulation, meaning the thing through slavery, right? Dominicans went through slavery. Black people went through slavery. Native Americans went through slavery. Why? We were judged for breaking God's commandments. Right. Read. So he knows our works and tribulation. Read.
And poverty.
And what?
And poverty.
There's nobody more poor than us. I'll tell you that much. Right, Martina?
Yes.
We save all our pennies to what? To come to America because we think this is where we're going to become rich.
Right.
You understand? Because this country is based off what? Economic wealth, economy. It's a capitalist society, right? Everybody wants to capitalize and become rich. So we come here to become rich. But God says he knows we are poor, poverty-stricken. Why? For breaking his commandments. All these things are judgments. Judgment for breaking God's laws. Read.
But thou art rich.
But God says we're rich. We are rich. God says we are rich. Can I tell you are rich? No, right? Can I tell Linda's rich? Can you tell I'm rich? No, because we still, look where we're at. The most dirtiest, filthiest streets of America. Our people strung out on drugs, getting high off K2, weed, crack, cocaine, heroin, right? That's what you see in our neighborhoods, the ghettos of America, right? So we're rich. We're rich, why? Because God gave us the laws, statutes, and commandments. If we keep them, then we get blessed. But if we break them, then the curses fall upon us.
Right. Will be deceived.
Huh?
Looks will be deceived.
Very good. Looks can be deceiving because you look at us and you say, you guys are nothing.
Can I judge something?
You understand? But you can't judge a book by its cover. But you know what? We can judge a book by its cover. Because by looking at you, I know you don't keep God's commandments. You know why, Martina? You know why, Linda? Why? Exactly. You see that? You see that? So we judge Linda by her appearance. We can judge you by your appearance. You understand? We cannot condemn you.
Right.
Only God can condemn you, but we can judge you. Watch this.
My father didn't want me to wear no pants.
Exactly. You know why? Because your father was old school.
Right.
He's from the old ways that God ordained. But what? We come to America and we learn the customs and the traditions of the other nations.
Right.
The so-called white man, the Arab man, the African man, the Chinese man. Who do you see setting up stores in our neighborhoods? These are not owned by blacks and Hispanics, but they come to our neighborhoods and they put stores and they become rich off of our dollars. Right. Instead of us keeping our money in our pocket, right? And what? Sticking together and making ourselves rich, we make the other nations rich just by simply buying on the Sabbath, buying on Saturdays. So every store is supposed to be shut down on the Sabbath, right? On God's day. Watch this. I wanted to bring this up. You know what? Satan just gave our phone call. Watch this, read it.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
I know the blasphemy, the lie of them that say they are Jews and are not. And are not. Watch this, read it again for Martina because she was on the phone. Read.
And I know the blasphemy.
You know what a blasphemy is, Martina? A lie. I know the blasphemy, I know the lie of what?
Of them which say they are Jews.
Who says they're the Jews? Who says they're the Jews, Martina? Huh? No. This is the new thing on the earth. You've never seen blacks and Hispanics professing themselves to be Jews.
Right.
But who calls themselves Jews? Jewish. Those so-called white men, your landlord, right? The owners of a lot of these stores. You understand? The ones that's in Jerusalem now, right? They call themselves Jewish. You understand? But God says, I know the blasphemy, meaning the lie, the filthy lie of them that say they are Jews and what?
And are not.
And are not. They are not the Jews, Martina. God is telling you, they are not the Jews. You are. The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Jews, according to the Bible. Read.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
God calls them what?
The synagogue of Satan.
God calls those that are in Jerusalem now, in Israel now, that profess themselves to be Jewish, the synagogue of Satan.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are how men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.